Good morning. My name is Michael, and I live in Pensacola, Florida. I normally don't do a whole lot of this, but I'm going to do it anyway. This is an exception. I'd like to recommend to you a book written by Marty Bergen, Slam Bidding Made Easier, and the accompanying workbook that goes along with it. I came across this book noting in the bridge bulletin that it was a new book and that Mr. Bergen had just released it. The thing that caught my eye was the fine print. How to bid good slams and avoid bad ones. This book will do that for you. For the longest time, after I started using 1430 Roman key card, I just kind of figured that you didn't need to do the Italian cue bids. And evaluating your hand all the time really wasn't necessary, because 4 key cards and the Queen of Trump delivered slam 12 tricks most of the time. And then it started happening to me. We started finding instances where it didn't. Bidding slam and the defendants taking the first 2 tricks. That's embarrassing. Really, it is. If you have any questions about this, or if I say something you don't like, or something you don't understand in this DVD, then give me a call. I'll talk to you. 850-476-0727. I wrote Mr. Bergen an email telling him that he had hit a home run and thanked him for putting out this book. Now, I had read about the same information years ago with a Mike Lawrence book on reevaluating your hands. And it just went in one ear and out the other. Stupid on my part. But we've got the answer now, right here. Call Marty. Tell him that Michael sent you. 1-800-386-7432. You will not regret it. I'll tell you that right now. I hope you enjoy the DVD. I hope you learned something. And thanks for listening to me. Here's the reason we're talking about hand evaluations. Notice that the Ace, King, Queen, Jack, 10 in the modern bridge world are given a value of 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. And these are the values that we give to these honor cards when we're computing our points. The problem is that we are not giving the ace credit for what he's actually worth. He's actually worth 4.5 points. So aces are undervalued. Kings are 3, no change there. Every time we give the queen 2 points, we're over evaluating the queen. She's not worth 2 points. She's worth 1.5. Same with the jack. He's not worth a full point. He's only worth 3/4 of a point. And we never give the 10 any value, but the 10 is worth 1/4 of a point. These figures down here are what we're going to try to evaluate our hands to. These are the figures that are given to these cards. These are the values given to these cards by the bidding theorists of today and the computer scientists. The research, this is the latest. We can't go around computing fractions in our head all the time. That's a nightmare. Talk about a migraine headache after a session of bridge. So what Marty Bergen has done, he has tried to give you a procedure, a formula for compiling all of these values more accurately. The face card points that you are dealt, or we are calling the actual high card points that you count originally. And we're going to use these figures here with another procedure to upgrade these to this. Oftentimes we'll find, based on the number of aces and tens versus queens and jacks in a hand, that we'll have to devalue our hand, or perhaps add a point to the value of the hand. If we have an abundance number of aces and tens, we're going to have to add a point to the hand that we were dealt. If we've got a bunch of quacks, queens and jacks, the hand isn't worth what we think it is, and we're going to have to devalue the hand before we start bidding. And what we're going to try to do is use an adjustment or a corrective procedure to change this figure that everybody comes up with that they're dealt. It's called an adjustment. Then we're going to consider length, suit length points. Then we're going to consider doubletons, worthless doubletons. And then the next thing we're going to consider is quality suit points. You've probably never heard of that one before. And after we look at all four of those areas, we will then give our hand a value known as starting points, points before the auction, points before opening bid. Marty Bergen likes to call it starting points. And then we'll go from there. Okay, I think before we go any further that we need to fully explain to you where we're headed. We're going to take the face card point value that you were dealt, and we are going to apply 4 areas of concern and come up with a final point count value for your hand called starting points. These are the points that you're going to place on the value of your hand before we start bidding, before the opening bid and before the first response. Your starting points are going to be equal to an adjustment to the total of your face card points that you were dealt. An adjustment if necessary. And we're going to show you how to do that. Then we're going to consider shortness, the doubletons, singletons, and voids that are in your hand. And then we're going to give extra points to the hand based on length of suits. Length points. A typical 5-card suit is worth an extra point. And then here's one that you've probably not heard of before, but for each 4-card suit in your hand that contains 3 of the top 5 honors will receive an extra point value. After concerning these 4 areas, we will come up with a final value for your hand to start the bidding. This is called starting points, and we're going to practice starting points, computing starting points before the opening bid.